What's up, Tweener heads? Welcome back to another Tweener head tennis video here today. Today we have a very special interview with one of the top training professionals for the top young American guys, Wolf. He's going to be talking to us about what he does on tour, working with the guys like Opelka, Fritz, McDonald, even Tommy Paul sometimes. So we're going to get an inside look of what it's going to be like to be a trainer for those guys and what he did to get to this level and what it's like to be on tour with them. So make sure you guys leave a big like on this video, as well as making sure you subscribe to Tweener Head Tennis, because we're almost at that 1,000 mark, and I hope you guys do enjoy this video. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy. Welcome, Tweener Heads, to our very special interview with Wolf, the guy who does everything, but primarily works with Riley Opelka, Taylor Fritz, McDonald, and sometimes Tommy Paul. So welcome to the channel, Wolf. I think the first question for us is, how did you get involved with some of the top talent in America?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Always a blast. So I got involved partly by chance. I think a lot of people on tour, you have to be at the right place at the right time. There's a lot of people that want to be a strength and conditioning person on tour, or a physical therapist, or a coach. And you could be the best in the world, but not have that initial start or opportunity. Mm-hmm. Once you're in it and people realize your worth or your skill set, then it's much easier because the word spreads and people know you. And so it's much easier once you've established. So for me, my personal path, I actually took some inspiration from Todd Ellenbecker, because he played college tennis.
Yeah.
Became a physical therapist or physiotherapist, depending on which part of the world you're in. And he really got into tennis, sports medicine almost right away, and that became his niche. I got into physical therapy after playing college tennis. I had the illusion of playing professional tennis when I was younger. I think everybody does. Obviously, it wasn't going to be good enough, so I thought, how can I get my degree and also continue to play tennis? So I came to the US, played college tennis, and got my physical therapy degree. So like you said, everybody's path is different. Mine was, I worked as a clinician in a regular clinic. I worked with my professors the first 6 years, which was really good for my professional development. Mm-hmm. That was in Chicago. Then I moved to Phoenix, and I had the opportunity at the clinic that I was at, that I worked for over 10 years in, to work with a lot of professional athletes in a lot of different fields, NFL, golf. Okay. I'd see some college tennis players, some juniors, and so I got that opportunity. As you know, the tennis world is super small. Everybody knows everybody. Super small. It's literally 2 degrees of separation, sometimes 1 degree of separation to any tennis coach, tennis player, strength and conditioning. It's literally that close. And so a good friend of mine had introduced me to Brett Waltz, who used to be with the USTA for a long period of time, physical therapist, but at the time he was Jack Sock's physio. Okay. And he had asked me, so this is about being at the right place at the right time. He had moved to Phoenix, and he asked me, hey, if there's some opportunities on tour, would you like to do it? There's some need for some people that can travel that are good clinicians. And some of the young Americans may be looking at some point. I said, yeah, I would love to. I got into this field to become a physical therapist for the professional tennis tour, but I never really pursued it. I was in a good place professionally and learning a lot and developing. Yeah. And so now I'm about 18 years out of physical therapy school, so I've got my experience. As of now, I'm 20 years. But at the time when I started on tour 3 years ago, I didn't quite have 20 years. So having that background with all the other professional athletes, that allowed, at least for when the agents and players looked at my resume, to say, hey, he's worked with some high-level athletes. Okay. I think if you work in a mom and pop and see the average Joe, you could be the best physical therapist ever, but can you get your foot in the door? I think that's tough, unless that tennis player comes into your clinic by chance. They happen to be training in that town. You do good work, and they say, hey, do you want to travel with me? And so that you have to build that bond and that relationship sometimes first to be able to break out on tour. For me, it was right place at the right time, and he asked me that probably 6 months before Taylor was looking. Okay. Taylor Fritz. And then so I got a call. I was playing a tennis tournament in California on Saturday, and I got a call. Can you leave Wednesday for Asia? Taylor needs a physical therapist for the Asia swing. And so I was like, absolutely. I think it'd be fun. But I was scrambling. It was really hard. I had to find somebody to sub for me in the clinic. I had 2 weeks patients. My schedule was full. And that wasn't easy. So I had 3 days of not any sleep.
So you...
Just my prep, you know?
The scrambling, because I think a lot of people don't understand when you become a part of the tennis life, and I've realized this while traveling, is the traveling portion of tennis is so crucial and involves everything that you need to focus on, because it's not just the life you're going to have, it's what you're leaving behind as well, because you have to drop everything and go.
Yes. And the logistics behind that, planning on getting all your bills paid, having all the equipment that you have in clinic, how do you downsize that to something that's portable?
Yeah.
You know, I had to get a portable massage table that I could fly with, all last minute, right? The lotion that you have in the clinic, well, now you're going to be traveling, you got to get your own. So I had to do that. I had to overnight everything. And for me, that first trip was the toughest because it was China. And for China, you need a visa. So I also had to get a visa.
How'd you get the visa in 3 days?
I had to overnight everything from Phoenix. Now, keep in mind, I'm in California.
Yeah.
I had to overnight my passport that's in Phoenix, Arizona, to California, to the embassy. Then they wanted more info. Then they wanted my green card, so I had to send that. It was it was really tough. So I ended up leaving Thursday instead of Wednesday, just because logistically. So China wasn't necessarily the easiest way to start off, you know. If it was Australia, since I'm an Aussie still, it would have been really smooth transition. So
it would have been easier.
Traveling, and then you start to learn as you travel, you know, you just get more efficient at how you pack and travel and but yeah, the logistics there, at least on the main tour, it's way easier logistics because you fly in and your car transport's already there. The agents do a fantastic job. You give them your flight details. You get there, there's always a car waiting.
Yeah.
And in the hotel. Now, challenges and futures, you're getting there, and then how do I get to the site? You're getting on a bus or a train and a bus, and
no one's waiting for you.
No one's waiting for you, neither as a player or as support staff. It's much more difficult logistically. So I was fortunate to get straight into the main tour traveling. It made life a lot easier. We still play challengers, so I got to experience
a little bit.
I appreciate more the main tour.
Gotcha.
But yeah, no, like you said, travel is such a big part of what we do, and yeah, logistically it presents a challenge. But then you get used to it, it's not an issue.
So when you first started into the sports world, who else did you work with before tennis, or did you know you automatically wanted to work in tennis?
I knew I still wanted to work in tennis. Mm-hmm. I went away from tennis for 13 years.
Okay.
After college, I played some futures, didn't do great. Got into the triathlon world and cycling and running. And the clinic that I was at in Scottsdale, Arizona, focused on endurance athletes.
Okay.
So through that, I got to meet a ton of Olympians in triathlon world, cycling world, running. And so that was my niche. And I was into running and cycling at the time. So I worked with a bunch of Tour de France winners, Ironman winners. So I was very fortunate in that niche. Because we had that clinic and we saw even our average Joe was still an elite level amateur triathlete trying to qualify Ono or whatever.
Yeah.
But then there's a lot of NFL guys and golf guys that train in Scottsdale, Arizona in the off season. So then it goes through word of mouth. You see one guy and then you see more team. And so a lot of NFL, a few baseball guys, a ton of golf guys. And so, no matter what sport, the elite people are always the same, right? They're trying to squeeze out the most out of their body. They want really good care. They want attention to detail. And so you get to start to learn the habits of elite athletes, right? Because the success is very similar across fields, right?
Yeah. So what sport would you say is the toughest to help get that most amount of potential out of someone's body? Because it seems like tennis, you're down, you mastered it kind of in a way because you're doing it all the time now. What is another sport that has been really tough to get the most out of athletes?
That's a good question. That's a multifaceted answer. So let me tell you this. Right? So like, let's take a Tour de France champion, right?
Okay.
Extremely good cardiovascularly and strengthen the legs. Whereas, say, an Olympic marathon runner may be really good cardiovascularly, but doesn't really have that much leg strength. They don't really need that much leg strength. I mean, enough to stay injury free.
Yeah.
But they're really working on one thing: cycling with some variation. You're sprinting or you're doing intervals out of the saddle.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much the exact same thing. So
Gotcha.
you don't really have to work upper body too much. A little bit, some core. Not really any arms if you're a cyclist. So it's a little bit more one-dimensional. Now you take a sport that has multiple facets of fitness. So also with ice hockey guys. So I'm going to say ice hockey, tennis, they're up there because you're working everything head to toe.
Yeah.
You're working, tennis, you could have a 3 to 5 hour match, but also need the explosiveness.
Yeah.
You're working, flexibility, strength, power, hand-eye coordination, reflexes. You're sprinting repeatedly.
It's everything.
So I would say tennis is up there with the most difficult because if I'm working with an Olympic cyclist, I'm working on leg strength, core strength. That's it. I'm not really working on a lot of other things unless they have a crash and they had a shoulder injury.
Yes, but that's like a
tennis,
specific
everything
side.
Head to toe. Ice hockey, head to toe. Wide receiver, head to toe. A lot of basketball positions. So they're like some of the best overall athletes in the world. And there is actually a researcher at a university, I forget his name. He actually looked at all the different components of different sports, like a shortstop in baseball, very athletic, right? And he actually ranked them. And tennis was number one. And ice hockey was up there. Boxing, I think, was up there.
Well, because it's that whole body aspect that everyone kind of misses out on.
So many different facets of athleticism and fitness. So I would say those are the sports that are hard to work with.
Yeah.
It's more complex. I don't want to say harder, but it's
more
to think about.
Tedious.
More components to treating. But usually, if you're just treating one injury, a shoulder injury is a shoulder injury is a shoulder injury.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Just the demands of it may be different.
Yeah.
If you're a cyclist versus a tennis player where you have all these forces on your shoulder when you follow through on a serve, they're going to need a lot more rotator cuff strength than a cyclist pulling on the handlebars, right? And so I would say every sport has its challenges, but some are just less complex, and so it makes it easier.
Of course. And moving to the more tennis side of this is when you work with some of the top American athletes, I think one question that comes to my mind is how do you treat someone that's 7 foot like Riley and then going to treat someone that's maybe a little bit smaller like Mackie, who's still like almost 6 foot, but you go from one giant guy to a normal size guy. Is there a big difference when you treat them, or is it just you just adjust to their height?
So before I talk about each specific player, I'll be a little bit more general first.
Okay.
So different athletes are built differently. So you have some athletes that are real Gumby or hypermobile, as we say, right?
Yeah.
So they've got hyperextended elbows, hyperextended knees.
Mm-hmm.
So they tend not to have difficulty with flexibility. They tend to need more stability and strengthening, right?
Yeah.
So so no matter the size of that person, you're going to treat that differently to somebody that's maybe what we call hypomobile.
Gotcha.
Or they're just restricted in their joints, flexibility-wise, spinal rotation, shoulder rotation for the serve. So with that athlete, maybe you're focusing more on flexibility, range of motion, mobility, type of exercises, right? Yeah. You may have another athlete that's maybe a little less explosive that needs more explosive work from a strength and conditioning standpoint. So each athlete's going to have a different tailored program depending on what their body type characteristics are, plus also their game style.
Yeah.
So Riley is going to play really short points. He doesn't need a lot of side-to-side fitness that's going to beat up his body like a grinder, like a Nishioka who's going to run all day. That's how he makes his living, right? Yeah. He needs the fitness and the agility and the side-to-side, right?
Yeah.
So for Riley, it's more keeping the shoulder, the moneymaker healthy, right?
Yeah.
So he can keep serving bombs. And so for my guys, they're all very different, right?
Yeah.
So Mackey's one of the quickest guys on tour, same with Tommy.
Yeah.
Right? They're pretty strong, pretty athletic. So for them, it's keeping them injury-free, a lot of pre-hand stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Taylor is more like a Djokovic. He's actually quite flexible.
Okay.
So he needs a lot of strength and stability. Riley's a big guy, so he's trying to keep all the joints healthy and keeping everything moving right. And so every single one of those guys is different. Like Mackie and Tommy are more similar.
Really?
Yeah, but just because of their body types, you know, they're not extreme in any way, and they're so fast.
Yeah.
You know, how much explosive work for those guys is going to make them that much faster.
Gotcha.
They're pretty fast as they are. You just want to keep them healthy so they can continue to fast for a long time.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And so everybody's different. So really that comes down to assessing the players, right? Assessing, and then constantly reassessing. So where are you at?
Yeah.
You know, are you staying on top of your program so you keep your speed and your flexibility? So yeah, they all have their own, and that goes for everybody on tour. They all have their
specific,
their maybe limitations or their strengths, and you want to work on both, not just limitations. You want to make their strengths even stronger, right?
Yeah, of course. For you, you're a big tennis guy, and I think one of the things is you play in whenever you can as a trainer, and I've always wanted to ask you this in person: is who's the best coach that you've played against? Is there like a record you guys keep against each other when you play against each other? Like who's won the most out of each one, or is it like there's a ranking?
No, so the boys that I've worked with, and it's not just the four guys you mentioned. I've worked with other guys.
Yeah.
So a lot of the coaches are former players, right?
Yeah.
So they have pedigree, you know. I mean, Paul Anacone, he was top 10 in the world, right?
Can you keep up?
Volley, hands, right, are amazing. He doesn't play much anymore, so we actually don't really practice, you know. One of Taylor's other coaches, David Nankin, he got up to, I think, 120 in the world. He still hits, and he can, on the forehand side, he can keep up with anybody on tour.
Really?
He's just, he doesn't miss. It's just a groove. Like, he's a joke. Like, it's, so, and then you got the younger guys, like Peter Lucasen, USTA guy, and Matt Chloe, USTA guy. If you put them in a corner with any of the top pros, they can hang in a rally with anybody and not miss.
Really?
And they can still probably play sometimes at a 300-400 level. You know, if you're just taking a point here and there, or a tie break,
really,
set maybe. But those guys play at a high level. So and those guys are maybe a little bit younger, so they can still move.
Okay.
You know, so I think it depends on the coach, but there's so many good players out there that are good hits and good practice partners. And so for me, it's fun because I get something out of all of them, you know, because none of them miss. So it's just a blast. So they're all good.
But you can keep up, can't you? Like you hit in with the guys.
Yeah. So I'll still hit with the boys. I have a funny record. I always remind Paul Anacone and the other coaches this. Whenever I've warmed up Taylor.
Yeah.
Up until the Acapulco final, where he lost the Rafa, he'd never lost a match. So I warmed him up for every match at Eastbourne where he won the title. Okay. And then I was his hitting partner, warm-up guy for the whole tournament in Acapulco, where he made the final and he lost to Nadal. So for me, that one loss is not a bad guy to lose.
So Taylor's lucky charm kind of thing.
Kind of lucky charm, yeah. Okay. So, and then last year I hit a lot, and this year, last year I hit a lot with Mackie and Acapulco. So when their coaches or hitting partners aren't around, then I get to hit in, and I hit with Tommy and Riley in the off season. Yeah. So I can hit well enough to warm them up for a match. Okay. And if they're in need, obviously they'd rather hit with the player, but if they're in need, I can step in and still hit a ball, and so for me it's a blast because I get to play with the best players in the world at Wimbledon and the French, and something that I couldn't do as a player that
now you get to do.
As my job.
It's your job. I'll put that in quotes.
Right? Because I'm a tennis junkie, so I live, sleep, breathe tennis, and so I can't get enough. So even when I'm not with my players, I'll go watch tennis. Yeah. So I love it.
So you said you played at Wimbledon. What do you think of playing on grass? Like, I tried it for the first time last year at the Hall of Fame, and it's the weirdest thing to play on. I feel like it's the hardest thing to play on, too.
So being an Aussie, we grew up on grass.
I still don't understand how Aussies always grow up on grass. It's weird. It's weird for me to think that.
Well, it's not really the case anymore. There's very few grass courts anymore.
Yeah.
So it suits my game, but I think it's ugly tennis sometimes.
Okay.
Well, more so how it used to be when it was really quick.
Yeah.
It's really serve return error, serve return one volley. There's a beauty to it, but
Yeah.
I prefer to watch a point on clay that's constructed.
Of course.
And so, but the low bounce on grass.
It's just.
Although Wimbledon now, honestly, they slowed it down with the ball checks and bounces high, and it's slow.
I really want to see how it plays. If I ever had the chance to hit on a Wimbledon court versus the ones I played at the Hall of Fame, like Hall of Fame, they're like, I love the courts. Don't get me wrong, but there's always like a little divot.
Soft,
They're
and the
soft.
ball doesn't bounce.
I know, especially on the main stadium too. It's very different. And when I first played, just getting used to how fast it'll skid. It's I
That's more
understand.
a traditional grass court, and it's different, right?
Yeah.
And so you can see if you're lifting every ball because it's down low, you want to get to net so it's up high, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's kind of nice to have a little bit because tennis has gotten so homogenous now. Everything's similar. The point structure now, Wimbledon's similar to the French, which is crazy.
It's weird.
59 to 71%
It's
rally
weird.
length, the first 4 shots or whatever. So it's very similar now. So,
Yeah.
now you can win on all surfaces. It'd be nice to have, the more aggressive players do better on some surfaces, just to add a little variety.
Of course. And I think we're seeing that with Team, and we're seeing that with the more aggressive guys, and I think Sinner is definitely one of the ones that is more aggressive when it comes to a ground stroke game, especially at his age.
Yeah.
And I think the last thing we have to get to is the hashtag on your Instagram bio, the ATP Stuffs guy. Walk me through this, because we talked about it before I started recording, but I wanted to hear it for when it's recording. So please explain to everyone what an ATP Stuffs guy is.
Okay, do you want the background story?
Yes,
like
the background story was even better. Yes,
okay,
of course.
So I may have some details of this wrong, and Paul Anacone could correct me on this, but this is kind of the gist of it, okay?
Got it.
So Paul Anacone is sitting there with Pete Sampras, and they just finished a practice session, and the next guy onto that court was Agassi.
Yeah.
And he had a full entourage. Back then, entourages weren't that common. Now almost everybody has a physio, strength and conditioning, and a coach. And so back then it wasn't that normal. So Pete goes to Paul, well, that guy's clearly the strength and conditioning guy, and that guy's the physical therapist, that guy's the coach. Who's that guy? And Paul turns to him and says, well, that's the Stuffs guy. He's like, Stuffs guy? Who's that? He's like, he just does stuff, right? So it's the logistics that makes the player's life a lot easier.
Yeah.
So when I joined on tour, I like to make myself useful. So when there's downtime, I like to do other things to make my player's life as possible. Because their goal should be relaxing so they can recover physically. So whether that be playing video games or relaxing and chit-chatting with each other, watching YouTube, whatever that may be. But there's things like picking up laundry, or taking rackets in to get restrung, or going to book a court, or going to get practice balls and towels. And it's the little stuff that it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's 5 minutes there, 5 minutes back. And this is time that I wouldn't want my players on their feet or walking, and they should be relaxing and recovering.
You're helping out as much as you can.
Yeah, so I would do things, and the guys learn the story about Paul, and they would go, hey, that's a Stuffs guy move. Or,
I love it.
Good job, Stuffs guy. And so it just kind of stuck, and it's been a running joke with all my players. Like,
I love it.
Oh, Stuffs guy moment. And so it's become a joke, and it's funny, and I like doing it and being productive and being useful as much as I can. So that's the Stuffs guy joke.
I love it. I think I'm going to put that in my bio after we hang up, because I think that's how I describe what I do on my channel, what I do for my content, because it's just the perfect summary of, what do? I do everything. I'm the Stuffs guy. I'm the tennis Stuffs guy. Like, it's like the perfect description of how you can say
perfect,
something.
right?
It's perfect. I love it. And I think a lot of people have those. And I always wanted to be one of those. Like, it seems like it's cool. It's cool. People, like, can have, like, a bad connotation. Oh, you just do stuff for them. It's like, no. You're helping out. You're being friendly. You're trying to help someone that can be utilizing their time differently.
Exactly.
I love that.
No, it really can be a very useful, thing.
Yeah.
Usually, don't get me wrong. Like usually the coaches are the ones taking the rackets in and grabbing the practice balls and so. So everybody has their role to make the player's life and look, the players aren't lazy. They'll go do their own stuff.
Yeah.
But remember, my job as a clinician is try to keep them as healthy as possible, as fresh as possible, so they can perform at their peak. So
exactly.
If that means they're going to be on their feet less, I'd like to do everything I can to try to help them out.
It's like if they're going to do their laundry and they stub their toe, it's like, okay, now they can't play tomorrow. Or if they...
anything. And let's not forget, sometimes you have to walk through the tournament site to get to the player services, which means you're having to sign autographs and you're stopping and what might have turned into 5 minutes, 10 minutes to me is a half hour for them.
Yeah.
Because of the logistics, right? And
we're not saying it's bad to interact with fans. We're just saying when they need time to relax, they can't be doing all this stuff. And a lot of stuff is done for them, but that's because they need to relax and have their peak performance their next day or later that day.
Exactly. My guys are actually very good about signing autographs and
all of them are.
Sometimes I'm like, you should probably start going now because you need to get off your legs because you've been on your feet practicing or playing a match. And they'll sit there and they'll sign until it's done. So my players are good about it.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes where I don't want to expose them to that because I know they'll sit there and just keep signing.
Yeah.
And those are but
I love
obviously interaction is super important.
Oh, of course. And Wolf, thank you again for doing this. The next thing we're going to do, and this is going to be a separate video, Wolf is going to send me some video, and I'm going to try to do the same exercises that he might put his players through. And for a guy that can hold a rally against some of the players, I want to see how well I am physically, especially now that I'm not outside hitting a ball and I'm in quarantine. So this is going to be very interesting to see the videos that you send me, because I can't wait to try these.
So just for the people at home, some of the exercises can also be deemed a test. So it can be a test, that's the exercise, that's the retest.
Yes.
You can modify some things, and I just wanted to add a little twist of some things that might make things a little bit more challenging.
Yeah. So. And Wolf have you seen me play or no?
I have not seen you hit a single ball, ever.
Really?
Yeah.
That's shocking.
I know, right?
It is, because I met Wolf.
We're at the same events.
Yeah, we're at the same events, and I've posted a lot on my channel, so if you want to go check those out and see me hit,
I'm going to go check that out.
There you go. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, because we're almost at 1,000. We're at 901 right now.
Definitely going to subscribe
there you go. And so, Wolf, thank you again for joining me today. I can't wait to try these exercises. And definitely go check out Wolf on his Instagram, and he's got a lot of stuff coming up, so make sure to go follow him and show him some love, guys.
Thanks for the kind words.
No problem. Thanks, Wolf. I appreciate it.
Pleasure. Have a good one.
You too.